Rebecca Hayes had been working double shifts for the past 3 days, and her eyes felt like someone had poured sand into them. The medical station orbiting Threshold 7 was understaffed, underfunded, and somehow expected to handle the galaxy's dirtiest jobs. Tonight's job was the worst kind, an execution. She stood in the observation room, staring at the tablet in her hands. The document on the screen had 17 pages of legal jargon, but the message was simple: kill the patient in Quarantine Bay 7. 23 planetary governments had signed off on it. The Galactic Council had rubber-stamped it. Even her own supervisors had sent a message saying, just follow protocol and don't make waves. Rebecca read it 3 times, hoping she'd missed something. She hadn't. The prisoner's name was Kthara. Velcari species. 8 feet tall, covered in dark green scales, built like someone had crossed a Komodo dragon with a professional linebacker. The charges made Rebecca's stomach turn: war crimes during the Rim conflicts. Mass murder of civilians. Genocide. The kind of stuff that kept diplomats awake at night and gave soldiers nightmares for decades. Kthara was supposed to die in 6 hours. Lethal injection, clean and clinical. The galaxy's version of justice. Rebecca had seen monsters before. In her 15 years as a trauma surgeon, she treated pirates who laughed about raiding colony ships. She'd saved the life of a slaver who'd bought and sold children. She'd even stitched up a warlord who'd ordered entire cities bombed into dust. She knew what evil looked like when it breathed the same air as you. Something about this didn't feel right. She grabbed her coffee, cold now, tasting like battery acid, and headed for Quarantine Bay 7. The corridor lights flickered as she walked, a reminder that this station was held together by duct tape and prayers. Other medical staff avoided eye contact as she passed. Nobody wanted to be associated with an execution, even a legal one. The bay doors hissed open and the smell hit her first. Not the antiseptic clean smell of a proper medical facility, but something organic and sick. The bay was kept deliberately cold, cold enough to slow Kthara's metabolism. Cold enough to make dying more comfortable, they said. Rebecca stepped inside and stopped dead. Kthara was curled in the far corner, her massive body trembling with each breath. The poison they'd already given her was working slowly, methodically shutting down her organs one system at a time. But that wasn't what made Rebecca freeze. There was a baby. Pressed against Kthara's chest, so small Rebecca had almost missed it, was a hatchling. Maybe the size of a house cat, with scales that caught the light and shimmered like oil on water. It made soft chirping sounds, nuzzling against its mother's side, completely unaware that in 6 hours, it would die too. Jesus Christ, Rebecca whispered. Kthara's head lifted. Her eyes, huge and amber and far too intelligent, locked onto Rebecca. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then Kthara spoke. Her voice was rough, like gravel being dragged across metal, but the words were clear enough. Please. Baby, innocent. Rebecca's hands shook as she pulled up the prisoner file on her tablet. She scrolled through pages of testimony, evidence logs and legal proceedings. Then she found it, a footnote in the cultural appendix. Velcari hatchlings couldn't survive separation from their mothers during the first growth cycle. The biological bond was too strong. Kthara died, the baby died. The Galactic Council knew this. They discussed it in their proceedings. The conclusion was simple: acceptable casualties in the pursuit of justice. Rebecca looked at the hatchling. It was playing with Kthara's claw now, gentle and trusting. It didn't know what justice meant. It didn't know about war crimes or politics or the complicated reasons why grown-ups decided who lived and who died. It just knew its mother was warm and safe. Station AI, Rebecca said quietly, her mind already racing through possibilities. Pull up the trial records for Kthara. Everything. I want witness testimonies, sensor logs, all of it. Dr. Hayes, the prisoner's trial concluded 3 months ago. The verdict is final. I didn't ask if it was final. I asked to see the records. The data flooded her tablet. Rebecca started reading, her medical training helping her process information quickly. She looked for patterns, inconsistencies, anything that felt wrong. And she found them. The timestamps on Kthara's supposed location during the massacres didn't match up. Witness testimony put her in 3 different places at the same time. The sensor logs showed her ship docked at a medical station during one of the attacks. She wasn't listed as combat infantry, she was a combat medic. Rebecca looked up at Kthara. You tried to save people, didn't you? Kthara's eyes widened in surprise. Then slowly she nodded. They said, I killed. I did not. I healed. I saw terrible things. I tried to stop. Why didn't you defend yourself at trial? No one believe Valkyrie. We lose war. Winners write truth. Cthara's voice cracked. But my baby, she not part of war. She innocent. Please. Rebecca checked the time. 5 hours and 42 minutes until execution. She looked at the hatchling again, at this tiny creature that hadn't done anything wrong except be born to the wrong mother at the wrong time. Then she looked at Cthara, who was dying slowly and couldn't even hold her baby properly anymore because her arms were too weak. Rebecca made a decision that would either save 2 lives or destroy her own. Station AI, initiate emergency quarantine protocol. Authorization Hayes 7 Omega. Dr. Hayes, there is no medical emergency detected. Override. The hatchling is showing signs of unknown pathogenic contamination. Nobody enters or exits this bay until I've completed full analysis. That's an order. The heavy security doors slammed shut with a sound like a vault closing. Red lights began spinning in the corridor outside. Rebecca knelt beside Cthara. I don't know what happened during the war. I don't know if you're telling the truth or lying to save yourself. But I know that baby hasn't done anything wrong, and I'll be damned if I let it die without a fight. Cthara stared at her like she'd just spoken an alien language. You help? Why? Because I'm a doctor. Because that's what we do. Rebecca pulled out her medical scanner and started running diagnostics on the poison in Cthara's system. And because something about your trial stinks and I want to know why. The station AI's voice returned, colder now. Dr. Hayes, the Galactic Marshal ship has just entered the system. They are requesting permission to dock early. Rebecca's blood went cold. Early meant they suspected something. Early meant she had even less time than she thought. How early? They will arrive in 2 hours. 2 hours to figure out the truth. 2 hours to find evidence. 2 hours to somehow stop an execution that 23 planets wanted to happen. Rebecca looked at Cthara and her baby, then down at her tablet where witness testimonies contradicted each other and evidence didn't quite add up. All right, she said to herself. Let's see what humanity can do in 2 hours. Rebecca's fingers flew across her tablet, pulling up file after file while Cthara watched from the corner. The hatchling had fallen asleep against its mother's chest, tiny sides rising and falling with each breath. Every few seconds Rebecca glanced at the time display. 1 hour and 43 minutes until the marshal arrived. She needed help and she needed it fast. Rebecca pulled up her contact list and found the name she was looking for, Vincent Cole. They'd gone to college together back on Earth, before Rebecca went to medical school and Vincent decided journalism was his calling. Last she'd heard, he was somewhere in the outer sectors, chasing stories nobody else wanted to touch. The call connected after 3 rings. Vincent's face appeared on screen, older than she remembered, with new scars across his left cheek and gray streaking his dark hair. Becca? Holy hell, is that you? It's been what, 5 years? 6. Vincent, I need your help and I need it now. Something in her voice made him sit up straighter. What's going on? You covered the Rim conflicts, right? You were embedded with the relief forces. Yeah, worst 2 years of my life. Why? Rebecca quickly explained the situation. Cthara, the execution order, the baby, the inconsistencies in the trial records. Vincent's expression grew darker with each detail. Send me everything you've got, he said. Give me 30 minutes. I don't have 30 minutes. The marshal. Then I'll work faster. The call ended. Rebecca turned back to Cthara, who was watching her with those intelligent amber eyes. Your ship, Rebecca said. During the Talon massacre, where were you really? Cthara's breathing was labored, each word an effort. Medical station. Outpost 17. We hear distress calls. I take emergency shuttle with supplies. When I arrive. She closed her eyes. Bodies everywhere. Ships broken. People floating in space. I try to save who I can. How many did you save? 47. Most die anyway. Injuries too bad. Cthara's claws clenched. I find man. Consortium mercenary. He dying. He tell me truth. He say, his people do this. Blame Valkyrie. He sorry. He give me proof. Rebecca leaned forward. What kind of proof? Data chip. In here. Cthara gestured weakly to her chest. Bio-encrypted. In my body. Has recordings. Has orders. Has everything. Rebecca pulled up Cthara's medical scans, the ones taken when she'd first arrived at the station. There, a small foreign object embedded in the tissue near Cthara's heart. The scanning report had flagged it as possible shrapnel from combat injury. But it wasn't shrapnel. It was evidence. Rebecca's tablet chimed. Vincent was calling back, his face pale. Becca, what the hell have you stumbled into? Tell me. Kthara isn't lying. I found 3 survivors from the Talon massacre willing to talk, finally. They've been too scared until now. They all say the same thing. Kthara was there trying to save people. The ships that did the actual killing? They weren't Valkyrie. Wrong engine signatures, wrong weapon signatures. But someone scrubbed the official sensor logs. Who? That's where it gets interesting. The Talon massacre happened in contested space, specifically, space that had rich deposits of that new fusion catalyst everyone's fighting over. After the massacre, the Galactic Council authorized military intervention. 3 months later, the Xerian Consortium quietly bought the mining rights for a fraction of what they were worth. Rebecca felt sick. They killed 2,000 people for mining rights? Killed 2,000 people and blamed it on the Valkyrie to justify a war. Kthara was a loose end. A witness who could prove it was all manufactured. Vincent paused. Becca, if you're sitting on evidence of this, you need to be very careful. The consortium has people everywhere. The station AI interrupted. Dr. Hayes, the Galactic Marshal, is hailing the station. He demands to speak with you immediately. Rebecca closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them with steel in her gaze. Put him through. The Marshal's face filled the screen. A Kravik, built like a tank with compound eyes and mandibles that clicked when he was annoyed. Right now they were clicking a lot. Dr. Hayes. I'm told you've initiated a quarantine lockdown. On what grounds? Potential pathogenic contamination from the prisoner's hatchling. I'm running tests now. That's interesting because my medical officer says your scans show no signs of contamination whatsoever. Your medical officer isn't here examining the patient in person. The Marshal's mandibles clicked faster. You're stalling. Why? Rebecca made a split-second decision. Sometimes the only way forward was straight through. Because I don't think Kthara is guilty. Because your evidence doesn't add up. Because there's a data chip embedded in her body that apparently nobody bothered to check. And because I think someone very powerful wants her dead before anyone can ask the right questions. Silence. The Marshal's compound eyes stared at her from the screen. Dr. Hayes, you are interfering with a legal execution order signed by 23 planetary governments. Do you understand the severity of what you're doing? Do you understand that you might be executing an innocent woman and her baby? The trial was a joke. Timestamps don't match. Witnesses contradict each other. She was documented at a medical station during one of the attacks. She's a combat medic, not infantry. And somehow nobody noticed or nobody cared. The Marshal was quiet for a long moment. Even if what you're saying is true, I have my orders. The execution will proceed as scheduled. Then you'll have to go through me. That can be arranged. The screen went dark. Rebecca looked at Kthara. How long would it take to surgically remove that data chip? Too long. You not have equipment. I too weak. Procedure kill me. Then we do it the other way. Rebecca grabbed her tablet and started typing furiously. Vincent, you still there? Yeah. I'm sending you Kthara's medical scans. That data chip, can you tell people about it? Can you publish what you found? I can, but Becca, they'll come after you. The consortium doesn't leave loose ends. Then they're going to learn that humans are really, really bad at following orders when innocent people are dying. Rebecca sent the files. 10 seconds later, her tablet exploded with alerts. Vincent had published his article with the headline, Talon Massacre. New evidence suggests frame job. Within minutes, it was spreading across the galactic network like wildfire. The station AI chimed urgently. Dr. Hayes, I'm detecting unauthorized access to the quarantine bay door controls. Someone is attempting to override your lockdown. How long until they succeed? 18 minutes. The hatchling woke up and started chirping, frightened by the alarm sounds. Kthara tried to comfort it, but she was too weak to even lift her arms properly. Rebecca knelt beside them. I'm not letting them take you. I don't care what I have to do. Why? Kthara's voice was barely a whisper. You lose everything for us. Career. Freedom. Maybe life. We are nothing to you. Rebecca looked at the hatchling, at this tiny creature that just wanted its mother. She thought about all the times humans had been the underdogs, the times they'd been told to accept the inevitable, to bow to superior force, to understand that some things just had to happen. And she thought about how humans had responded every single time, by saying no. You want to know why? Rebecca said. Because humans are stubborn. Because we're irrational. Because we look at impossible situations and instead of accepting them, we ask, how can I fix this? And because that baby deserves a mother, and I'll be damned if I let anyone say otherwise. The door override was at 60%. Rebecca could hear cutting tools starting up in the corridor outside. Vincent called back. Becca, you need to see this. The article's gone viral. Half the human worlds are losing their minds. People are calling their representatives, filing protests, jamming the Galactic Council's communication systems. There's even a human cargo ship captain who just accidentally blocked the main resupply route to your station. Rebecca almost laughed. Accidentally? His words. He's very sorry about the navigation malfunction. The override hit 80%. Rebecca looked at her tablet, then at Kthara and the hatchling, then at the door that would burst open in minutes. She stood up, squared her shoulders and opened a station-wide broadcast channel. This is Dr. Rebecca Hayes. What happens in this room in the next few minutes will be recorded and transmitted to every news outlet in known space. If the Galactic Marshal wants to execute a woman and her infant child, he can do it while the whole galaxy watches. Let's see how that goes. Her finger hovered over the transmit button. Kthara's voice stopped her. Human. Rebecca. Thank you. For seeing me as person, not monster. Rebecca pressed the button. The whole galaxy was watching now. The broadcast went live just as the quarantine bay doors exploded inward. Smoke filled the room and through it came 6 Kravik soldiers in full tactical gear, plasma rifles raised. Behind them, the Marshal stepped through, his compound eyes reflecting the emergency lights. Every camera on the station was pointed at them now. Millions of beings across dozens of worlds were watching. Rebecca stood between the soldiers and Kthara, arms spread wide. She didn't have a weapon. Didn't have armor. Just a blood-stained lab coat and the kind of stubborn determination that had gotten humans through ice ages and plagues and wars. Stand aside, Dr. Hayes. The Marshal's voice was cold, professional. No. This is your final warning. Good. Because this is mine. Rebecca's voice carried across the broadcast. You want Kthara? You want to execute her and her baby while the whole galaxy watches? Then you're going to have to go through a human doctor first. See how that plays in tomorrow's news cycle. One of the soldiers shifted uncomfortably. Rebecca noticed. They all noticed. Behind her, Kthara's hatchling was crying, a high-pitched keening sound that cut straight to something primal in Rebecca's brain. The sound a baby makes when it knows its mother is in danger. The sound that makes you want to protect, to fight, to do whatever it takes to make it stop. The Marshal's mandibles clicked. Dr. Hayes, you're making this worse. No, I'm making this public. There's a difference. Rebecca's tablet buzzed. A message from Vincent. 3 more human ships just arrived in system. They're not military, just civilian vessels, but they're parking themselves between the station and any escape routes. Nobody's going anywhere. The Marshal received the same information. His compound eyes narrowed. Your people are interfering with official business. My people, Rebecca said slowly, are really good at being inconvenient when someone's trying to hurt kids. Something shifted in the room. One of the soldiers, a young Kravik barely old enough to serve, lowered his rifle slightly. The Marshal noticed immediately. Soldier, maintain your position. The soldier hesitated. Sir, it's just a baby. It's a Valkyrie. It's a baby, sir. Rebecca saw her chance. She turned to the cameras, to the millions watching. Here's what nobody wants to talk about. Kthara has evidence, a data chip embedded in her body, that proves the Talon massacre wasn't committed by Valkyrie forces. It was staged by Xerian Consortium mercenaries to justify seizing mining rights. They killed 2,000 innocent people and blamed it on the losing side of a war. Kthara tried to save survivors. That's her crime. Being a witness. The Marshal's mandibles clicked furiously. That's speculation, Anne. Then let's check. Right here, right now, with everyone watching. Extract the chip, examine the evidence, see what it says. Rebecca's voice grew stronger. Unless you're afraid of what we'll find? More alerts flooded her tablet. Vincent was publishing everything in real time. The survivor testimonies. The doctored sensor logs. The suspicious timing of the consortium's mining claims. The galactic network was exploding with reactions. Kthara tried to speak, her voice weak. Rebecca, too dangerous. Chip extraction. I'm too weak. Procedure will kill me. Then we don't extract it yet. Rebecca turned back to the Marshal. Medical emergency. The patient is critical. Extraction requires stabilization first. That's not me stalling. Check her vitals yourself. The Marshal gestured to one of his soldiers, who approached with a medical scanner. After a moment, the soldier nodded confirmation. Kthara was dying, the poison still working through her system even as Rebecca's emergency medications fought to keep her alive. She has perhaps 6 hours, the soldier reported. Maybe less. The hatchling's crying grew louder. It had crawled away from Kthara and was now pressed against Rebecca's leg, tiny claws gripping her pants. The little creature was shaking, terrified, instinctively seeking protection from the nearest source of warmth and safety. Rebecca reached down and picked it up. The hatchling immediately buried its face against her shoulder, still crying but quieter now. Every camera caught it. A human doctor holding an alien baby, standing between that baby and armed soldiers. The marshal stared at her for a long moment. "Dr. Hayes, you're putting me in an impossible position." "Good. Because that's where Kthara has been since the moment someone decided her testimony was inconvenient." Rebecca's comm crackled. A new voice, Captain Angela Dennison of the human battlecruiser New Carolina. "Medical Station Theta 9, this is the New Carolina. We're reading weapons charging on consortium vessels in system. Be advised, any hostile action toward the station will be met with defensive force." The marshal's expression shifted to something between anger and resignation. "Captain Dennison, this is a law enforcement matter. Your interference isn't interference, Marshal. It's protection of human nationals and persons under human care. Dr. Hayes has declared Kthara and her child under medical protection. That makes them our concern." Rebecca felt the hatchling's heartbeat against her chest, rapid, frightened but strong. She looked at the marshal. "Here's what's going to happen. Kthara gets stabilized. The evidence gets examined by independent investigators. And this baby gets to grow up with its mother. That's not negotiable. You don't have the authority. I have something better. I have 3 human warships, about 50 civilian vessels, and apparently half the human population of known space paying attention right now." Rebecca's voice was steady. "You know what humans are like when they decide someone needs protecting. We're annoying. We're irrational. We file lawsuits and block shipping lanes and generally make everyone's life miserable until we get what we want." One of the soldiers actually chuckled before catching himself. The marshal's tablet was flooding with alerts. The Galactic Council was in emergency session. The Xerian Consortium stock had crashed. Human representatives were demanding investigations. 3 more human ships had just arrived in system. "This is madness," the marshal said quietly. "This is humanity." Rebecca shifted the hatchling to her other arm. "We're really bad at accepting innocent deaths when we could prevent them." Vincent's voice came through her comm. "Becca, you need to see this. Someone leaked internal consortium communications. They're panicking. They're trying to bribe council members to speed up the execution before more evidence comes out." Rebecca smiled grimly. "Broadcast it. All of it." The station shook suddenly. Not from weapons fire but from multiple ships docking at once. The marshal's tactical display lit up. 4 human engineering vessels had just attached to the station without authorization. "What are they doing?" the marshal demanded. Rebecca checked her own screens. "Looks like they're reinforcing the station's defenses and fixing that navigation system the cargo captain accidentally broke. Very helpful of them. This is a violation of." "Marshal, I really don't care." Rebecca looked down at the hatchling, now sleeping against her shoulder, exhausted from crying. "You want to arrest me? Fine. You want to charge me with obstruction? Fine. But you're not touching this baby, and you're not executing Kthara until someone with actual integrity examines that evidence." The marshal stood there, surrounded by cameras, watched by millions, with human ships forming a protective cordon around the station. He was a soldier who followed orders, but he was also smart enough to know when a situation had spiraled beyond his control. His mandibles clicked once, then stopped. "The execution is delayed pending investigation. 24 hours. 48. 36. That's my final offer." Rebecca looked at Kthara, who had managed to pull herself up slightly, watching everything with those amber eyes. The Valkyrie warrior nodded weakly. 36 hours, Rebecca agreed. "But the broadcast stays live. And Kthara and her baby stay under my protection." The marshal turned and walked out, his soldiers following. The last one, the young Kravik who'd questioned his orders, paused at the door. "Ma'am? That was really brave." "No," Rebecca said, looking down at the sleeping hatchling. "That was just being human." The soldier nodded and left. Rebecca finally let herself breathe. Kthara's voice came weakly from behind her. "You save us. Why?" Rebecca turned, still holding the baby. "Because that's what humans do. We protect kids. All kids. Even the ones that aren't ours." Cthara's eyes closed, tears sliding down her scaled face. The broadcast continued. The galaxy was still watching. And somewhere in the consortium's headquarters, people were starting to realize they'd made a terrible mistake. They'd forgotten what humans were capable of when someone threatened their young, even if those young weren't technically theirs at all. 20 hours into the 36-hour deadline, Rebecca was running on coffee and spite. She'd barely slept, spending every minute monitoring Cthara's condition while Vincent and his network of journalists tore through the evidence like wolves. The hatchling, Rebecca had started calling it Chin, short for the full name Cthara had given it, refused to leave her side. The station had transformed into something nobody expected. Human engineers had taken over half the repair bays, working around the clock. Human lawyers had set up a temporary office in the cargo hold, filing motions faster than the Galactic Council could process them. Even human civilians were showing up. Teachers, mechanics, retired soldiers, all volunteering to help however they could. It was chaos. Beautiful, stubborn, absolutely human chaos. Rebecca was checking Cthara's vital signs when Vincent burst into the medical bay, his face flushed with excitement. We got them. We got everything. Cthara stirred, her amber eyes opening. Explain. Vincent pulled up holographic displays, data streaming across the air. The data chip you're carrying has recordings from the mercenary commander. Actual voice logs giving orders to attack civilian ships. Payment records from shell companies traced back to consortium executives. Even the falsified sensor data they used to frame the Valkyrie forces. Rebecca felt her heart race. That's enough to clear her? That's enough to bring down half the consortium's leadership and start a dozen criminal investigations. Vincent's grin faded. Which is why they're getting desperate. 3 hours ago, someone tried to bribe me to bury the story. 2 hours ago, someone threatened my family. 1 hour ago, someone put a bounty on your head. How much? 2 million credits. Rebecca whistled. I'm flattered. Becca, this isn't funny. They want you dead before the investigation concludes. Cthara struggled to sit up. You must leave. Diction. Go somewhere safe. I stay, I die, but evidence still remains. You survive. Nobody's dying today. Rebecca helped Cthara lean back. We're past the point where killing 1 or 2 people helps them. The story's out. The evidence is distributed. All they can do now is damage control. As if summoning a demon by saying its name, the station's alarms shrieked to life. Warning, reactor malfunction detected. Critical failure imminent. All personnel evacuate immediately. Rebecca's blood turned to ice. Vincent grabbed her arm. That's not a malfunction. That's sabotage. The station AI's voice, normally calm, carried an edge of panic. Reactor containment failure in 22 minutes. Evacuation pods are launching. All personnel must. Rebecca cut off the announcement. She pulled up the engineering systems, her hands shaking. The reactor's containment field was degrading rapidly, way too fast for a natural failure. Someone had planted something, probably weeks ago, just waiting for the right moment to trigger it. We need to move Cthara now, Vincent said. She can't move. The poison's still in her system. The stress of evacuation would kill her faster than the reactor. Then we carry her. Rebecca looked at Cthara, 8 feet tall, maybe 600 pounds even in her weakened state. We can't move her fast enough. And the evacuation pods aren't built for Valkyrie physiology. Chin started crying again, sensing the panic in the room. Vincent was already backing toward the door. Then I'm getting Chin out of here and you're coming with me. I'm not leaving her. Becca, you'll die. Then I'll die doing my job. Rebecca's voice cracked. I'm a doctor, Vincent. I don't abandon patients. I don't care if it's stupid or irrational or impossible. That's not how this works. Cthara reached out with one clawed hand, grabbing Rebecca's wrist with surprising strength. Human, please. I'm one life. You are young. You saved my daughter. That is enough. That is everything. Rebecca looked into those amber eyes, saw the resignation there, the acceptance of death. And something in her just snapped. No, absolutely not. You don't get to give up because some corporate bastards rigged a reactor. You don't get to die because they're scared of the truth. And you sure as hell don't get to sacrifice yourself while I'm standing here breathing. She grabbed her comm. This is Dr. Rebecca Hayes to any human engineering vessels still docked. I need reactor specialists in the engineering bay now. We've got 18 minutes to prevent a catastrophic failure. Static. Then a voice, gruff, tired, utterly calm. This is Chief Engineer Patricia Ramos of the Memphis Bell. We're already on it, Doc. Been working the problem for the last 5 minutes. Can you fix it? Normally? No. This kind of sabotage is designed to be unfixable. They did a real professional job. Rebecca's hope crumbled. But unfixable assumes you're working with proper equipment and following safety protocols. We're human. We stopped worrying about proper around the time we duct-taped a solution to keep Apollo 13 from dying in space. A laugh crackled through the comm. Give us 12 minutes and stay off this channel. We need to concentrate. The comm went dead. Vincent stared at Rebecca. They can't actually fix this. It's impossible. Humans are really good at impossible. Cthara's grip on Rebecca's wrist tightened. I do not understand your species. Any sane people would evacuate, would save themselves, would accept that some battles cannot be won. Rebecca knelt beside the Valkyrie warrior, still holding chin. Cthara, can I tell you a story? Back on Earth, thousands of years ago, humans weren't the strongest species. We couldn't outrun the predators. Couldn't outfight them. Should have gone extinct a dozen times over. But you did not. No. Because we were too stubborn to die. Because when a saber-toothed tiger attacked the tribe, we didn't just save ourselves. We grabbed spears and protected each other. We protected the children, the elderly, the wounded. Even when it was stupid. Even when we should have run. Cthara's eyes glistened. You evolved to be irrational. We evolved to be family. And right now you're family. The station shuddered. Somewhere deep in the engineering section, something exploded. The countdown on Rebecca's display read 9 minutes. Chin whimpered in Rebecca's arms. The hatchling was smart enough to know something was very wrong, even if it couldn't understand what. Vincent had his camera out, still recording. If we die, at least the whole galaxy's going to know what happened. We're not dying. How can you be so sure? Rebecca smiled, though it felt more like baring teeth. Because there are 23 human engineers down in that reactor room right now, and I guarantee they're all thinking the same thing. I am not dying today, and neither is anyone else on this station. That's just how we're built. 5 minutes. The station's shaking grew worse. Lights flickered. Rebecca could hear the groaning of stressed metal, the kind of sound that meant structural integrity was failing. Cthara pulled Chin from Rebecca's arms, holding her daughter close. If we die, I want you to know, you showed me humans are not what my people believed. You showed me compassion is not weakness. Save the speeches. We're not dying. 3 minutes. Rebecca's comm crackled. Patricia's voice, strained but steady. Doc, you still alive up there? For now. Tell me you have good news. Define good. We've jury-rigged a secondary containment field using the station's emergency power grid, 3 cargo ship reactors, and what I'm pretty sure is a violation of about 40 different safety regulations. Will it hold? Honestly? I have no idea. We're about to find out. 2 minutes. The shaking stopped. The alarms cut off. For a moment, everything was silent except for Rebecca's pounding heartbeat. Then Patricia's voice came back, exhausted but triumphant. Containment stable. Reactor is shutting down safely. We did it. Rebecca slumped against the wall, suddenly aware of how badly her hands were shaking. Vincent let out a sound that was half laugh, half sob. Cthara closed her eyes, holding Chin so tightly the hatchling squeaked in protest. How? Cthara whispered. How is this possible? Rebecca looked at her, then at Vincent's camera, knowing millions were still watching. Because humans don't know when to quit. Because we look at impossible problems and our first instinct isn't to accept defeat. It's to ask, how can we fix this? We're irrational like that. Patricia's voice came through again. Doc, you should know, we found the sabotage device. Military-grade consortium tech. Someone really wanted this station gone. Can you prove it? Already sent the evidence to every journalist in the system. They're not going to be able to bury this. Rebecca looked at the countdown display, frozen at 47 seconds. 47 seconds from total annihilation, saved by human engineers who refused to accept the impossible. The marshal's voice came through on the station-wide comm. Dr. Hayes. I need to speak with you. In person. 10 minutes later, the marshal stood in the medical bay, looking at Cthara, at Chin, at Rebecca, at the evidence holographically displayed across every surface. His compound eyes took it all in, the proof of conspiracy, the sabotage attempt, the desperate measures taken to silence witnesses. The consortium has just been dissolved by emergency council order, he said quietly. Executives are being arrested across 20 systems. The evidence you've preserved is comprehensive. So Cthara's cleared? The charges are being dismissed. She's free to go. The marshal's mandibles clicked slowly. Dr. Hayes. I've been a law enforcement officer for 30 years. I've seen a lot of things. But I've never seen anyone do what you did today. Which part? The treason or the stubbornness? The part where you looked at certain death and said no. He paused. That's very human of you. Rebecca smiled tiredly. Yeah, it really is. 3 weeks after the reactor incident, Medical Station Theta 9 looked like a completely different place. Human engineers had rebuilt half the systems. The sterile white corridors now had plants growing in makeshift gardens. Someone's grandmother had shipped seeds from Earth, insisting that nobody heals properly without seeing something green. There was even a small cafe run by a retired human couple who'd shown up unannounced and simply started serving food to everyone. Rebecca sat in the observation lounge watching ships come and go through the viewport. Cthara was beside her, finally strong enough to walk without assistance. Chin was curled up between them, playing with a stuffed Earth animal. A dog apparently, though Chin seemed convinced it was some kind of prey. Your species is very strange, Cthara said, not for the first time. You're just figuring this out now? No. I learn new strange thing every day. Cthara gestured at the cafe. Those humans, George and Linda. They are retired. They have home on nice planet. But they come here to broken station in dangerous space to make food for strangers. Why? Rebecca shrugged. Because people were hungry and someone needed to feed them. That's reason enough for George and Linda. This is what I mean. Strange. The truth was, Rebecca was still processing everything herself. The past 3 weeks had been a blur of investigations, testimonies, and media coverage. The Xerian Consortium had collapsed spectacularly, 7 executives arrested, their assets frozen, their crimes broadcast across every major network. The Talon massacre investigation had been reopened, and 47 survivors who'd been too terrified to speak before were finally coming forward. Cthara's name had been cleared completely. More than that, she was being hailed as a hero, someone who'd risked everything to preserve the truth. Vincent walked into the lounge, tablet in hand and that manic journalist energy radiating off him. You two need to see this. The council just released the final investigation report. He projected a hologram into the air. Pages and pages of findings, all confirming what they already knew. The massacre was staged, Cthara was innocent, and the consortium had orchestrated everything for profit. But there was something else at the end. A formal statement from the Galactic Council. Cthara read it aloud, her English improving daily. The Council wishes to acknowledge the actions of Dr. Rebecca Hayes and the human community whose intervention prevented a grave miscarriage of justice. While their methods were unorthodox, their commitment to truth and protection of innocent life exemplifies the highest standards of galactic citizenship. Unorthodox, Rebecca snorted. That's a nice word for, you committed about 40 different crimes. Are you being charged? Cthara asked, concern evident in her voice. Nope. Apparently the council decided that prosecuting me would cause more problems than it solved. Something about potential civil unrest among human populations. Rebecca grinned. Turns out threatening to arrest a doctor who saved a baby's life is really unpopular with humans. Who knew? Vincent scrolled further. There's more. The council's opening formal diplomatic channels with the Valkyrie government. First time in 15 years. They're talking about peace negotiations, trade agreements, cultural exchanges. Cthara's eyes widened. Because of this? Because of what happened here. Because the whole galaxy watched humans go to war for you without firing a shot, Vincent said. They saw what happens when humanity decides someone deserves protection. Scared the hell out of a lot of governments. Rebecca looked out at the stars. 3 human warships were still in system, observing. They'd been there for 3 weeks, just watching, making sure nobody tried anything else. A silent reminder that humans remembered what happened and wouldn't tolerate a repeat. I still do not understand, Cthara said quietly. Why you risk so much? I'm not human. Chin is not human. We are nothing to your people. Rebecca picked up Chin, who immediately started trying to eat her hair. You want to know the real answer? The one that makes sense to humans but sounds crazy to everyone else. Yes. Because you needed help. That's it. That's the whole reason. Rebecca smiled at Chen's attempts to gnaw on her fingers. Humans spent millions of years as prey animals on Earth. We were smaller than the predators, slower than most prey, without claws or fangs or armor. We should have gone extinct. But we didn't because we learned something important. We're stronger together. We protect each other. We protect the weak, the wounded, the ones who can't fight for themselves. Even when it is not logical? Especially when it's not logical. Because mercy isn't about logic. It's about looking at another living being and deciding their life matters, regardless of what species they are or what some government says or how inconvenient it might be. Kthara was silent for a long moment. Other species do not think this way. No, they don't. Most species in the galaxy calculate cost versus benefit. They weigh political consequences. They make the rational choice. Rebecca scratched chin behind her head ridges, making the hatchling purr. Humans skip all that and jump straight to, how do we save them? It drives everyone crazy. Vincent pulled up another screen. Speaking of driving people crazy, you're famous now, Becca. Like really famous. There are petitions with millions of signatures nominating you for the Galactic Peace Prize. Schools on 7 human worlds have been named after you. Someone made a very unauthorized action figure. Rebecca groaned. Please tell me you're joking. Nope. Comes with a tiny plastic chin and everything. It's actually pretty cute. Kthara's mandibles curved into what Rebecca had learned was a Valkyrie smile. You are hero to 2 species now. Human and Valkyrie. I'm not a hero. I just did my job. Your job was to prepare me for execution. Instead you committed treason, nearly died in reactor failure, and started diplomatic incident that changed galactic politics. Kthara's smile widened. This is not just your job. A chime interrupted them. The station AI announced, Transport Shuttle Valkyrie Dawn is ready for departure at Docking Bay 7. Rebecca's stomach twisted. She'd known this moment was coming, but that didn't make it easier. Kthara stood, taking Chin from Rebecca's arms. The hatchling immediately started crying, reaching back toward Rebecca with tiny claws. Chin had bonded with both of them over the past weeks, and the little creature didn't understand why she had to leave. In my culture, Kthara said softly, there is a bond debt. When someone saves your life and the life of your child, that debt can never be repaid. It transcends species, transcends distance, transcends time itself. You are Chin's second mother now. You are part of my family. This bond is eternal. Rebecca felt tears stinging her eyes. Kthara. No. Listen. You showed me what humans are. Not the stories we tell, not the rumors, not the propaganda. The truth. You showed me that some beings in this galaxy still believe compassion is strength, not weakness. That mercy is courage, not softness. That standing up for those who cannot stand for themselves is the highest calling. Kthara placed Chin in Rebecca's arms one last time. The hatchling buried her face in Rebecca's neck, purring and crying simultaneously. Raise your young to be like you, Kthara continued. Teach them to be stubborn and irrational and impossibly brave. Teach them to say no when the whole galaxy says yes. Teach them that some things are worth fighting for even when fighting seems pointless. I will, Rebecca whispered. They walked to the docking bay together. A crowd had gathered, humans, Valkyrie who'd come to escort Kthara home, and representatives from a dozen other species. The Galactic Council had sent observers. Media crews from 50 worlds were recording every moment. At the airlock, Kthara knelt before Rebecca, performing the traditional Valkyrie gesture of eternal friendship. Clawed hands spread wide, head bowed, complete vulnerability offered to someone trusted absolutely. Dr. Rebecca Hayes. You have my blade, my honor, and my family's devotion until the stars grow cold. Rebecca didn't have a formal response. She was just a doctor from Earth who'd gotten in over her head. So she did the human thing, she hugged Kthara, careful of the scales and healing wounds. Take care of each other, she said. And if you ever need help again, you know where to find me. Chin cried harder as Kthara took her back. The hatchling didn't want to leave, didn't understand why her second mother couldn't come with them. As Kthara carried Chin toward the ship, a Galactic Council representative approached Rebecca. He was a centauri, tall and elegant with crystalline features that caught the light. Dr. Hayes, the Council would like to understand something. Why do humans consistently act this way? You risk everything for lost causes. You fight battles you cannot win. You protect those everyone else has condemned. It's inefficient. Rebecca watched Kthara's ship preparing for departure. You want to know why humans are different? Yes. Because we remember what it's like to be the ones nobody believed deserved to live. Because 10,000 years ago, we were the scared ones hiding from predators, the weak ones everyone thought would go extinct. We survived because we protected each other, because we refused to abandon our wounded, because we learned that mercy, the choice to save someone when letting them die would be easier, is the most powerful force in existence. She turned to face the centauri fully. Other species in this galaxy evolved as apex predators or prey that got fast enough to escape. Humans evolved as something else, cooperative hunters who became strong through compassion. That's encoded in everything we do. It's why we can't just walk away when someone needs help. It's why we'll fight impossible battles for strangers. It's why we're really, really bad at accepting that some people just have to die. The Centauri was silent for a moment. The Council fears this about humanity. Good. Why good? Rebecca smiled. Because fear means respect. Means you understand that if you hurt someone under human protection, we'll move heaven and earth to make it right. Means you'll think twice before executing an innocent mother and her baby. Means maybe, just maybe, you'll choose mercy because you know humans are watching and we have long memories. The Valkyrie dawn lifted off, engines glowing bright against the darkness of space. Rebecca watched until it vanished into FTL, carrying Kthara and Chin home to a world they'd thought they'd never see again. Vincent stood beside her. So what now? Rebecca pulled up her tablet. 57 other cases were flagged in the station system. Prisoners awaiting execution, refugees awaiting deportation, people who'd been labeled as problems and forgotten. Now, she smiled. Now I go back to work. Because someone needs to remind this galaxy that every life matters, even the inconvenient ones. That's very human of you. Yeah, Rebecca said, walking back toward the medical bay where her next impossible case was waiting. It really is. Behind her, the stars wheeled in their ancient dance, indifferent to the struggles of those who crawled across their surfaces. But humans weren't indifferent. Humans never were. And that made all the difference.